Greetings my friends and welcome back to another Elden Ring video. This is Andrew and I'm going to teach you today how to find the Meteorite Staff early and fast. Basically, it's pretty simple. This is mainly meant for those that want to do a sorcery run, and I feel like it's going to be very helpful for most of those out there that are struggling with the early game experience. I've already gone ahead and created a character today that's essentially not even out of the tutorial, but at the very end of it. Let's go ahead and load him up, take a look, see what we can do here to get this rolling. As you can see, we're still technically in the graveyard. Let's open up the door and begin. Now, I've not picked up anything special. The only thing I've done is started with the gift of a golden seed. Specifically because I feel as if though that is the best gift you can start off with, just as a rule of thumb. The first thing we want to do here is attend the site of grace and actually change over our flasks to use the complete health, just nothing but health. But first let's go ahead and actually add a charge. Let me kind of demonstrate that from the beginning. Add charge using that golden seed, and then let's allocate everything over to the crimson tiers. We just want nothing but health potions. Now if we open up our map, you'll notice there's really nothing here to see, so everything that we're going to be doing today is just going to be by eye. There's no real point with which to reference other than just memory, watching the video, things like that. So the first thing we want to do is come over here to the east, and we're going to be going to those runes you can kind of see off in the distance. Now I'm going to be skipping most items and picking a path that's really good for not taking any fall damage or getting hurt. So that's what we want to focus on here. Of course, along the way, if you want to pick up anything yourself, that's perfectly fine. If we're lucky, we can avoid becoming aggressive with these bats. Although it doesn't look like it, that's okay, because essentially we're going to be just running right on past them. As long as you keep straight and true, they shouldn't really attack you. Don't forget to stop sprinting right as you're about to run out of stamina, just because if you run completely out of stamina, it tends to take longer before you can sprint again. It's sort of an old hangover from all of the Dark Souls games. So what we want to do is carefully come in here, look to the left, and come on down these stairs. Now they're chasing us from above, but what we want to do is quickly take our time and kill these rats. The reason why is if you don't, there's a good chance they'll actually try to attack you when we open up the door. So this is why we want to try to save at least a little bit of magic. If you want, you can pick up some loot here. We'll pick up a golden rune from them, and then open up this door. Inside there's going to be a chest, but this chest is actually going to ensnare you. It's a trap, but we're wanting that because the trap teleports you all the way across the world, much closer to where the staff is. This area can take a little while to load for some strange reason, especially on a PC, so we'll give it a second. In the meantime, as some bonus tips, I'm also going to show you how to get almost all the runes that you'll need to be able to upgrade your intelligence stat to actually use this new staff, as well as help you get access to a set of, I guess you could call it a summon or a spirit that can help you to progress in the game that you may not have known about. Now, we've arrived in an essentially unsafe place. Technically, if you don't move and you hold still and stay in this little shack, if you will, things should not attack you. However, outside, these creatures, including that one patrolling by, are actually quite difficult to hurt. They take a fair amount of damage, and they will crush you if you're not careful. So we're going to want to get out of here without getting struck at all if we can help it. Let's open up this chest just to get some free loot. It's not going to hurt anyone, not going to cause any trouble. These are one-use items that kind of act like sorcery, even if you're not a sorcerer. They're not the best in the world, but they're kind of nice to have. Might as well pick them up. So what we want to do here before I actually show you is we're going to want to come around outside the shack area, turn to the left, and come down. Now you can try jumping, but if you're careful, it's actually faster to run. We want to run down a hill that you can't really see here and come out through the only opening inside this cave. We're looking to make it out to the entrance, which is through that opening, and there should be a site of grace that we can rest at. So let's just go ahead, get her done. Oh, goodness. So as you can see, it's a little bit on the risky side, but the good news is when you die, you actually go right back to the shack. And so there's no real loss of time, or maybe a little bit of time, but certainly no major issue when it comes to having a long distance with which to run again. Now, the downside, of course, of coming to do this in the first place is that, unfortunately, as you die, if you do so again, you will be continuously dying in that spot. But I'm going to show you here right now how to avoid that. Pick up our runes along the way. We do want to have those for later. And as you see, we made it. And we don't need to worry about taking fall damage. It's not that far of a fall. So here's the Site of Grace. And in case you're not aware, anytime you rest at a Site of Grace, you automatically gain back all of your resources. So let's do that now to get that little bit of health. And then come out the entrance here of this cave. The good news is now that you've come out the entrance, you are capable of using your map to teleport back to where you came from. You've essentially unlocked this area should you want to come back. But we want to stay here for now because this is essentially where the staff is. So what we're going to want to do is hug this right-hand side and do our best to essentially avoid contact with others and therefore get into combat, which would cause our stamina to go up, which I wasn't able to do. Excellent. So if you'd like, you can pick things up along the way, materials, but you're not really going to be able to craft anything with them at the moment, so you don't really have to. I just wanted to demonstrate it. You can get some things here now that you normally wouldn't have access to later. So as you can see, we followed the right-hand side here along this cliff, and we're just running and jumping over various rocks. You're safe for the most part here. This guy looks intimidating, but all he really does is if you kill him, he'll give you access to all of your flasks back, your healing flasks, but you don't need to kill him. We obviously don't have any damage taken, and he shouldn't try to hurt you or anything. This water is actually not really poisonous. They call it scarlet rot, but once you get this gauge filled all the way up to the top, it counts as if though it were a poison. So as we're working our way towards the staff, we want to try to do our best to avoid getting that scarlet rot effect on us. In essence, letting that bar fill all the way to the top. So let's go ahead and run, make our jumps, try to move from one safe platform to another. If you follow my essential path, you should avoid most enemies and most progression of this scarlet rot. If need be, you can stop for a few moments along the way. Let that bar reset. Just be careful and mindful of the enemies that are nearby. Now, for the sake of it, just in case it happens, let's go ahead and get scarlet rot. All that's really going to occur is we're just going to take some slow damage over time. Now, the thing we're concerned with is actually inside this building, and once you go inside, there are more of these types of plants that can cause you to be affected with rot. What we want to do is run in. Let's heal up first. Run in and jump past them, and then pick up our staff. Then immediately here in the corner is a golden rune. We want that too. So let's come out, heal ourselves before we die. This is why we want all 5 flasks, and come over here to this side. Now, we're already inflicted with rot, so it doesn't matter if we stay on top of this area or not, but we want to come up here so we can get out of combat. Essentially what you want to do is just keep using the map until it pulls up like this. Great, so now we can go ahead and head on back to the first step, which will not only give us all of our flashbacks, bring us back to safety, but it'll also go ahead and heal us up to full and get rid of that scarlet rot. So essentially that's it. You now have access to that staff. It is quite literally the best sorcery staff that you can get in the middle, up to the middle part of the game, if not even longer, depending on how you play. But we can't use it yet, and technically we can't even level up yet. If you've played Elden Ring, you know you can't level up right away. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that, as well as show you how that rune we picked up is going to be really helpful. So what we want to do is come and drop down here. We want to avoid this large, I guess you can call him like a knight or a phalanx-like knight that's on top of this horse, because he will just rip through you to shreds. Not only that, even if you were to kill him, you really played skillfully, the reward that he provides you with is not suited for sorcerers, and even melee users can't use it right off the bat. So what I want to do is jump up here across the rocks, come up here through the grass path, and that's it. Now, we did pick up a rune along the way from one of those rats, but that's not guaranteed. So what we want to do is along the way to leveling, and as you can see we're now safe from this guy as long as we stay away, we're going to want to kill a few creatures along the way, but this should be quite easy. Now what we want to do first is, while we're killing these creatures, we want to stop over here at what looks like this rundown church. This is part of one of the tips I want to show you. We're not going to stop here for long, we just want to pick up this side of grace, and then we'll come back in a minute. And I'll demonstrate that as we get closer to it. I'll discuss what's going on. So for the moment, we want to come back out here to the field, and we're going to want to head east. On the map, we're essentially heading in this general direction, sort of a northeast. Now, because we are a sorcerer, we're going to be doing some pretty decent damage from afar early on. So let's just kill some of these guys that have access to torches. And of course, don't forget to loot what they drop. And continue following this dirt path road. We're trying to get over here to another set of ruins. Excellent. So we've gone ahead, killed off the last person that we need to with just barely enough FP, or mana as I like to think of it. And we want to now come up here towards the grass, going north, little northwest, and up towards this last side of grace that we're going to be using. This is actually the one that allows you to level up. The story forces you to come here at one point, and you'll have a cutscene with what is essentially called a maiden. Now, I won't ruin the story for you. I'm actually going to skip over it so you can experience that yourself. But essentially, you'll now unlock the ability to level up. So let's go and skip and run here through her dialogue.
They serve at you. I can play the turning wood to aid you. You need go to the foot. Then it's settled. Summon me.
And then choose, which I did very quickly. You just want to choose that you will indeed take her to where she wants to go. Again, I'll let you read that through on your own. Kind of don't spoil the story for you. Okay, excellent. So now that we're here and safe, we can go ahead and visit our inventory to use up that rune without risk of death. Now, of course, we did have the one we picked up from the rats, the Golden Rune 1, but let's pretend that we didn't and just come over here to the Golden Rune 4. If you use that, you'll get 1,200 souls, which, mixed with the 372 we already had, it's just barely enough to increase our intelligence stat twice. And that's it. Now we have the ability to go ahead and unlock the staff and use it all entirely on our own. I usually recommend you either drop your shield or put a weapon in its place, that sort of thing. Keep your work low so that way you don't have too much weight on you. Let's go ahead and test the damage. And I can show you how it does increase it by ever so slightly, and the more that you invest into your intellect stat, the stronger and stronger it'll become. You can demonstrate this by taking a look at your original staff, and you'll see in red it shows sorcery scaling of 117, this one's 138. Now the last tip I'd like to show you that'll really help you along is something you'd skip over if you weren't informed by the game or maybe not paying attention, just didn't notice it, and that's the ability to summon spirits that'll aid you in certain big battles or in major areas. Now the way to do that is actually pull up on your map and make sure that it's nighttime. If it's not, you can rest here or any other bonfire like / site of grace that you can find, and you want to make sure that it's nighttime. Once it is, come back, open your map, and choose the church that we visited before. Once you fast travel to the church, you should notice there's a woman calling for you. It looks like she's wearing kind of a old-time witch-like outfit, and you want to come over and talk to her. Now, I'm going to skip over her dialogue as usual, but essentially what she's doing is discussing with you that she has a gift. You want to choose, I can call the spectral steed, and when you do, she will then entrust you with a spirit calling bell and the lone wolf ashes. Now, these ashes essentially provide you with a summonable creature that will fight on your behalf, and they do various different things. It's usually meant to help you when you're fighting a boss or having a difficult time in certain battles. Now, you can't use them everywhere in the world, but there'll be an icon on the left-hand side that sort of looks like a grave, or rather I should say like a headstone, that you can go ahead and indicates that you can use it in that area. So now, without speaking with her, you would never have gotten the bell, and then it doesn't matter what ashes you pick up in their various types, you wouldn't be able to use them until down the road later. Now, keep an eye out for future ashes, things that include the ability to tank, to damage. They're really quite useful and very helpful. So these three major things should go ahead and give you what you need. You got the ability to level up now. You have a fantastic staff. Sorcery does amazing damage. It's almost the easier way of approaching the game, that and incantations. And with that spirit that we just picked up, you should be set for any sort of major encounter here within the first, I'd say, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of the game even, without too much trouble, as long as you stay focused and work on those player skills. Well, anyways, that's it for this video. If you have any other questions or concerns, or if you want more content like this, or if you just flat out want to see more videos, please don't hesitate to put a like on the video, maybe put a comment down below, let me know what you think. And of course, there'll be future Elden Ring videos to come, as well as many others. As you know, we have a focus of not only modern day gaming, but retro gaming as well, all the way back to even the original NES, the Commodore, things like that. So thanks for joining us today, and I hope you have a great night.